What's up, everyone? Welcome back to All Things Nerdy with Nate and Joe. I'm Nate. That's Joe. Today we have a very interesting and fun topic to talk about. We have a great guest with us as well. A lot of personality, a lot of hype, and I think that comes through in her fashion and what she does. So I'm excited to talk with her. So again, I'm Nate. That's Joe. Joe.
Yep, super excited to hear from one of my favorite entrepreneurs. But without further ado, Kim, talk nerdy to us.
Hey guys, so yes, thank you for the intro, guys. Just so y'all know, I've always wanted to do like a podcast, but never felt like I was cool or nerdy enough. So I'm so excited that this is my first ever. Um, but yes, so I own Alaluna. It was like a clothing boutique that I started literally this past July. But I'm so nervous. Just I guess ask me a couple of questions and we'll go from there.
Well, perfect. So first off, the whole point of this is just talk about your passion. So you don't have to worry about being nerdy because you love what you do, right? Just
Right.
from talking to you, I know that you love it. So we're about to nerd out about it, and that's exciting. So I guess the first question, the easiest question to answer is like, why Alaluna? What made you want to do it?
Okay, so during COVID, I was on maternity leave, and then I just had my baby going on maternity leave. I had a lot of time to, find things for your babies because that's what you do. And it was COVID time. It was just, um, and I was specifically looking for hair bows for her. And in the South, I don't know why, but these mamas, they think that the big hair bows are the way to go. And it eats up the baby's head. And I, that was how it all got started. So from there, I was seeing that I was having a really hard time finding small, petite bows for my baby. And I started just making my own. And then I have this Instagram account, posted just pictures of her on there, like as any mom would do with their newborn. And these moms like started messaging me, asking me where did they get those hair bows? And I was like, oh wow, I'm not the only one who needs baby petite bows, you know? Um, so when I went back to work from maternity leave, I just had this like anxiety, couple of of like leaving your baby, having to juggle that time. And at that time, she was working at home with me too, or not working, but she was at home with me while I was working because she was young, and I was able to juggle it all with nap time and working from home. And then one day, my husband and I just had this talk, and I was like, I think I can make this happen with the hair bows, you know? Um, and from there, we just randomly, on one crazy day, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go for this. And I called my boss then, which was Joe, surprisingly, and told him that I'm going to step away from my 9 to 5 and try to start this thing. So I started Alaluna. Then it was called Alaluna Baby, and we just focused on strictly making homemade hair bows for babies.
So a couple things there. I firmly believe maternity leave should be extended in the States.
Yep.
Hot take, maybe not everyone agrees, but in the States, maternity leave should be extended. I know a lot of mothers who struggle leaving their baby so quickly to go back to work, right? So there's that. And secondly, I have a lot of friends who have babies, and they do. I think it might be a southern thing, but the baby's like yay big, the bow's like yay big,
Yes.
Actually, we had the perfect comment from Steven. LOL, yes, bows as big as your kid's head.
Yes.
And then, sorry, Kim, I just want to point out, too, that we're also getting some hypeness in the chat. So Fritz says, good afternoon from Orlando. And Richie and Jay Boogie Cox wanted to jump in and hype you up. So
I love that. You guys have an amazing following. Like, this makes me excited. I'm excited to be here. But yeah, so from the hair bows, in everything I did, I taught myself. And that's a great thing about being where we are and like in today's world. You can teach yourself to sew, to anything that you want to learn. Google is your best friend. So I taught myself how to sew. And then from making those little hair bows, I went on to kind of teaching myself how to make hair clips. I branched on into women's hairline. And then it came to a point to where as my baby was growing, I find that I wasn't having that time that I needed to like make things, right? Because now she's more awake. I need to spend more time with her. And I was finding myself being up at like 3 a.m. making hair bows. And health-wise, then I was also trying to recover from Bell's palsy, which I'm still doing. And it was just
Fantastically, by the way. I've seen it. You're crushing it.
yeah. So
Jeremy has
health-wise,
a quick question.
oh yeah.
How many bows can you make in an hour?
So the petite ones, I got to a point where I could make like, because I mean, I have that pattern cut out. So I could make probably 20 in an hour.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, but that 1 hour is sacred, right? Because I mean, having a 6-month-old and they're starting to walk, you have to spend a lot of time with them. And then their naps are unpredictable. So yes, 20 bows in an hour is great, but in the grand scheme of things, like time-wise, it just wasn't working for me.
So I just want to take a second and like shout out to you, because not only were you a brand new mother, but then you were creating a business. And not only were you like creating a business, something you knew, you were teaching yourself how to do it in the process. The amount of commitment and drive that takes, not many people have. So like you are a special person, and it's amazing to see you doing that and thriving.
You're sweet. I do appreciate that. I think it comes to, I really wanted it to work, right? And it was something that it was never like a backup plan. It was like, this is the plan. I have to make this work. And at the time when we were deciding this, my husband also decided to travel for work. So he's a travel nurse and he's gone like a week at a time. So it was like crucial for me to make it. And I think that's what that drive comes from. And it's still there. And obviously I haven't made it yet because we're still relying on his income for everything. But I think that's what drives it more than anything.
Okay.
So hopefully Al Luna will become what it is, and then he can come home and work with me. And I'll be his boss.
That would be awesome. We have a question from Adam. What's next for you, Kim? Any plans to branch out with other products?
So I'm glad you asked that. So yes, so like I told you, as my baby was growing, I literally had to make a pivot. And I told you this was always like the end goal is to grow Al Luna. So I pivot from making hair accessories for babies into women's fashion. But it kind of worked out because it aligned with what I liked anyways. So last June, instead of making bows and things like that, I switched to just online women's boutique. And yeah, and that's the end goal. So crazy enough, just a couple of weeks ago, I had this crazy idea of doing like a mobile boutique, as well as being online. But I think when it came down to it, I think my end goal is to literally e-commerce. Like I hope that I can grow this to like an e-commerce brand. So that's the end goal. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Another question from Stephanie. How have you been able to expand your reach to grow your business?
That's a great question. This is unique in the sense that my business is purely online. So I've really had to rely on like social media for all of that. All my customers is strictly through social media. And when I say social media, is Instagram. I was really fortunate that before I started Al Luna, I had my own personal account, which is Sweat to Swag. And that account itself, I focus on all the things that I love, and fashion was one of them. So all my followers who were interested in my fashion sense, they all followed me and, converted into customers. So I was so grateful for that. So yeah, now I'm trying to get into the TikTok side, but that's been a struggle. I'm a millennial. I'm not sure about TikTok just yet. But
You just need to hand your account off to a 13-year-old and let them run it.
right, exactly.
Got another question from Fritzen. Does your husband help out a lot?
He does. He's actually, poor thing. So he works, when it comes to hardworking, he is just as hardworking as me. I'm kind of grateful that, we were life partners because he works so hard and so do I. So we're just like two ships passing by, but it works. I don't know. And then when he's home, I mean, he helped me take all of those pictures, like all the pictures you see on the store. It's him behind the screen. Like, I just couldn't be more lucky for somebody like that because, he's traveling. He goes a week at a time. He works a 12-hour shift every day. And then he tries a 5-hour home. And then the next day, I'm like, babe, I got to launch all these new products. And then he's up, as energized as he could be, taking all my pictures. So yeah, he helps out a lot.
I mean, Mr. Fears is a great dude. I love the guy.
Yeah. So, and then he helps out with Remy too. It's like she's so high energy. So when he's home, it's like a hand off kind of thing. So yeah.
So that is something. So go ahead, Joe.
I was just saying, save me. Tap out.
No, I feel bad in the sense that I know he's tired and it's not like he's been on vacation, but like when he comes home, I kind of need not my space from her. That sounds horrible, but I do. Like, you need your...
Yeah, you're a human being. Everybody needs their bubble.
Yeah,
exactly.
As a person with 5 kids, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
5 kids.
I cannot even imagine that, but...
So I can say, like, for me, so I'm moving to Spain. I'm actually branching into the social media world. I spent hours on YouTube thumbnails yesterday and stuff like that. I'm an old guy. I love technology, but like social media is new to me, right? So I'm trying to figure it all out. My wife and I, we're moving to Spain, hence like the boxes and no background and all that stuff. And like, I'm looking at how can I like share this with the world and things like that. So the fact that you're on social media, you've been successful in social media, and just so everyone in the podcast knows, Kim has been giving me some very useful tips on how to do it. But
when Nathan says I'm successful on there, he's being nice. I feel like I've been on there for the time that I've been in there. I feel like I could have been elsewhere with it, but I'm thankful for the following that I have. Because sometimes, even though, because when you say successful, in my eyes, success is like you have like hundreds of thousands of followers, right? Mine is like 600 followers on Alaluna. You know what I mean?
That's more than I have on my personal page.
Well, you've converted them to customers. That's the big thing. It's like you may not have a giant reach, but you do have people buying.
So Alaluna has kind of, transformed, I guess, from, I'm putting the write-up like Bowtique to Boutique, right? So what is your mission with Alaluna? What do you want to do since it's changed from bows to like a full clothing boutique?
Oh, so fashion has always been like one of my things that I just love. I nerd out in fashion. It's just so, and then with that and being on the petite aspect of it, I sometimes have a really hard time finding things that would fit for me. My end goal, obviously I can't do it now because of budget and things like that, but the end goal for Alaluna is just to be an all-inclusive brand for female, for them to be able to go to find, on-trend, affordable, well-made clothes that will last. Because before I started Alaluna, I was shopping, you guys. You would die over the things that I'd buy. I mean, I would have no problem spending $200 on a shirt, like $500 on a dress. I mean, yeah, if I tell you how much my wedding dress was, you'd probably fall over and whatever. But when when Remy came along, and then we sat down and we actually talked about our financial goals as a family and where we want to be down the road, things like that. Obviously, all of that had to change. And I was finding it was really hard for me to find quality, well-made clothes that are like trendy. So that's another end goal too, is for me to be able to provide that to women. So all-inclusive, something that's affordable, well-made, fashionable.
I love that because as a bigger guy, I hate shopping. I try to be as fashionable as I can be. I'm not fashionable at all. Let's get that out there.
Fashionable. I've seen you.
I am not. Anyway, like shopping for me, I hate it. It is just so much like it's just demoralizing because I am not the everyday size of most people, right? So I find a couple brands, and when I know those brands fit me, Mugsies, Chubbies, all those types of things, like I hold them near and dear, and I tell everyone about them and love them. So I think that's great, and I'm sure that it's the same with your customers. Once they get that the stuff from you and they see how affordable it is and how good it looks on them, how it fits, and how long it lasts, they probably do the same thing.
Yeah. And no, like, and from what you're saying, I don't think it's so much that like people hate fashion or they hate shopping. They just hate not being able to find what they want. Does that make sense? So like,
I mean, that's
feel
exactly
you,
what. Yeah.
right. I feel you on that. Like, it's not so much that you hate the process of it, because of course you want to look nice, you want to dress well and all that, but it's because you can't find it. That's what you hate.
Yeah. I will say there's times where I see things that are really cool. I get them, they fit, and then I look like a giant Teletubby. I'm like, oh my God, I can't wear it.
It looks so cool on the rack, but we do have
honestly, when it comes to things like that, I think if you own what you wear, like who cares? You love it, but
just work it. We got a question from Fritzen. Are you the creator of the art in the background? If so, it looks nice. And then show it off a little bit. And then with Ala Luna, what are some of your short-term goals and the big dream goal items that you would like?
Okay, I love this. So the art, this is from Home Goods. And then those two females, those are, so before Matthew and I got married, I really wanted these paintings, and she doesn't paint them anymore, but he got her to paint those for me, and he gave it to me for Christmas, and I was just like over the moon. I cannot think of her name. All I can remember is her initial, but y'all, her Instagram following is insane. She would be one of those that Nathan was talking about. That's like phenomenal. But no, I didn't paint them. And then my short-term goals. So right now, my goal mainly is just to grow my audience. I know that everybody that has purchased from me or shopped with me, they love everything that they bought, because my return customer rate is crazy. So I know I just need to get my outreach out there. But the challenge is every time I learn something, I think that I figured TikTok out or Instagram out, they like throw a curveball, and then the algorithm goes crazy, and then now I have to start from the bottom. So I think next step for me short term is to maybe work with an agency, to maybe get my name out there through ads, something like that. I'm not sure what, or even work with like influencer marketing. I know when I was working, running my Sweat to Swag account, I got approached by a lot of different small boutiques and just different brands to work with. So I'm thankful because I kind of have that aspect of it. And I think that's where I want to go next with it. Short term, just to grow. And then long term, one of my favorite stores is Anthropologie. Anthropologie is great in the sense that they carry women's fashion, but they also carry like home stuff, furniture, things like that. It would be amazing if I could grow this brand into something like that, where it's like everything that has to do with style, like home decor, fashion, like everything under one umbrella. So
I can see you doing that. I've seen some videos that you post of your house and stuff. And you're very modern in like your taste and what you like and things like that. So I can see you doing something like that. That'd be really cool.
Got a good design eye. We actually have a few more questions.
Yeah.
Let's see. So it's from Steven. Any thought on using social media to expand your brand similar to Kiki? I'm going to say that because I'm not messing it up. Due to my wife, I can definitely clarify what I mean if you aren't familiar.
So I'm not sure what the brand is, but yes, but that is my goal, because it's just strictly online. I want to use social media for it. I don't ever think my end goal is to have a storefront or open any type of brick and mortar. So I think I would have to do everything through social media. And that's the thing, anything that comes out, I'm trying to be the first to be there. But it's tough because, like in order to succeed, and even on these different platforms, you really have to focus on just one. So that's my challenge. But yeah.
Yeah. And Steven, if you want to expand on Kiki LaRue to get, more details on that, feel free, man, and we can circle back to it.
Yeah. And Preston was just agreeing with Nate. He hates shopping as well. Longer arm span and long legs for his height, so no long sleeves or pants fit him. It's a sad life. So Kim, Kim,
It
you might
sounds
have
like
to
I need
branch
to
out
start a
into
men's.
into the men's branch
Right.
too when you get there.
I'm gonna add
And
that to my
then
future goals too.
yep,
Be all
you gotta
inclusive for
be all
men.
inclusive for
Right.
everyone. And then Adam, this is for anyone interested in starting a business but scared they aren't capable for one reason or another. What are some of the most difficult aspects of starting and running a business that you've had to navigate, like taxes, incorporating, scaling, etc.?
So I did hire an accountant. Tax wise, he handles all of that. And nowadays, you do everything through Zoom, but I choose to do in-person meeting with him. That way, because I want to learn from him too. So we literally sit there and he walk. So tax wise, I don't worry about. Those are things that I don't know. So I'm gonna let
Yeah,
somebody
pass it
else
off.
deal with it. But I think the hardest thing about starting a business is just having to figure everything out on your own. You know what I mean? Like literally from day one, I had to figure out how to use a sewing machine, how to put it together, how to make a bow, how to draw a pattern. Um, but it comes with that hunger. I think if you have it, it's easy. Like the hard part just it seems hard, but you want it so bad, it just comes natural. That makes any sense?
Yeah, for me, I think, granted, I don't own a business, right? I do a bunch of weird little things, but for me, it's just doing it. Because, I mean, you
Hmm.
use the word scared, right? And that is something that I think stops a lot of people. So I would argue that that is the hardest part, getting over the fear of starting a business, what all it, involves, because it is a lot. Whatever niche you're trying to get into is going to be a lot. So just doing it, just taking one step at a time and figuring it out. To me, that would be the hardest part.
And one thing I'm a true believer in this, and I have preached this, to like my friends, family who wanted to do something, especially my brother in Denver, because they want to like kind of open a restaurant and things like that. And I'm like, just do it. And here's why: I'm a true believer in like that ideas. It just kind of floats around, and it wants to like land on somebody. And if it's coming to you, that's like a huge sign. Like that's your sign to do it, and just trust it and go with it.
And it does.
Because if you don't act upon it, it's just going to float to somebody else who is willing to give it a chance. And that this whole thing started because of that. Obviously focus on doing something that you love and something that you're passionate about, because that will help it too. That will help you keep going on days that you don't want to, because there are days where I don't want to do anything, but I know my business needs me, and because I'm an only one person shop, like if I don't work, nothing's gonna get done. So
Right. I think a big thing is having people support you. And I know, like you talked earlier, like Mr. Fears helping you out in every
yes.
aspect, supporting you, being the man behind the camera. So I do a lot of odd and end things. I have the podcast, I stream on Twitch, I have a food Instagram. I do a lot of different things. And my wife, bless her heart, like supports me in all of it. In her eyes, I have no bad ideas. I can say the dumbest thing ever, right? Like literally, I don't know, it could be the worst. She'd be like, Nate, I believe in you. So she's sweet, but I mean, so
I
Yeah, I will
No, I
say,
agree with you. I think you and I are so lucky to have a partner like that, because that's really hard to find somebody who would allow you to just kind of experience what you're thinking. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like kind of following your dream. Like if this is what you think is going to work at the time, it's
yeah.
how amazing it is to have somebody that's like your biggest cheerleader and want you to be happy doing that.
Yeah. I mean, like you said earlier, you moving or you starting the business was just like, hey, I want to do this. And Mr. Fears was like, 100%. Me and my
Yep.
wife, we were laying in bed one night, like, you want to move to Spain? It's like, sure. We're moving to Spain. We're doing it.
No,
You know?
yes, exactly. It's we're very lucky to have that, because I feel like a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah.
So I hope that answered your question, Adam. I know we kind of rambled off there.
I know Stephen actually posted a comment to follow up. It's Kiki is twofold, where they offer clothes for all women, the models that are normal people. She uses Insta and TikTok lives to do flash sales, and when the clothes are gone, they're gone. It's literally like the Hunger Games. I see my wife drop what she's doing, run to her phone, and get on the live. That's, I mean, that's a good marketing strategy, right?
Respecting your wife too. She wants it. She's getting it.
I actually love that. I'm actually gonna have to follow this girl and kind of check out her marketing, scheme, because that's awesome. I've never heard of her.
Yeah, Steven, if you have the actual like name,
Yeah,
like the spelling and
handle,
stuff, if you can put it in chat for Ken, that would be great. But I mean, that also, so that drives business, right? So I'm a shoe person. I like some Nobles, and they were coming out with some Nobles that I wanted. And I know that they run out, and they're like, oh, they're coming back in stock. They never come back in stock. They're liar faces. Anyways, I was up until 1 a.m. waiting for my opportunity to purchase these shoes. The second they opened, I purchased the shoe. The second they opened, I purchased them. So like that's kind of, it helps drive business. Like, what is it, like Ferrari and all these things? Like, it's all about, there's a limited amount. If you want them, you have to buy them first. Exclusivity. That's right.
Yep. No, that makes sense. Looks like we have another comment as well.
I wanted to tell, so Fritzen, go follow me on Instagram so I can, not Instagram, on TikTok, so I can get to that 1,000 followers so I can do live like this Kiki girl. That's my struggle now. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers to start doing live videos. But that's what I mean. Like, so being, using social media for everything is so tough because like you try to get somewhere and somehow they kind of know that you're a business and they're like, nope, we're going to flag her. If she puts out a video, we're going to make sure it only reached 200 views and that's it. No more, So go follow me.
Click that promote button.
Yeah, I know.
Fristen says, can you give us a sneak peek of upcoming items or colorways for future shoppers? Or are you trying to master your everyday items in business?
Okay, I will say we did fail y'all in this sense. This is something we should have prepared for. It'd been like, hey, can you have a couple items of clothes? You can be like, woo, we didn't do that. Actually, so she might not have anything handy.
I'll give you a sneak peek. This is so funny. I wasn't even okay. So I didn't know what to wear today, right? And then I just got these pair of pants in, and I've been waiting for forever. They are amazing. The best part is I'm petite, I'm 5'1", and they fit my frame. So I'm gonna literally stand on this chair and be like, what?
Please don't fall.
Like, how cool are they? And it's like a block color of like neutrals. Anyways, so yes, those are coming. Right now I'm focusing on more of like modern resort style. Nothing too like bold or flashy. So a lot of like lots of knit items and things like that will be coming. And you wouldn't think to wear those things for summer, but that's like what's trending right now. So that's what's about to come to my shop.
So on that, like, how do you stay up to date with like the latest fashions and trends and then incorporate them into your like designs and stuff?
I've been really lucky with this in a sense that I don't really study the trends like I should. Everything I've done, it was just like instinctively as to like, what do I like, because I'm still I just started this. I'm still kind of unsure of my market and what they like. So everything I do, I base it on what I like. So instinctively, I just know that like, oh, I like these jeans. It's going to do well, And so far that has worked. But I do keep an eye on it here and there, but I don't like study the trends. Because I've never been one to say like, oh, that's a trend. I tend to buy to keep to have for a long time. So the things that I buy, how I shop the same way for my customers. That makes sense?
Yeah. This comment wins right here. Jeremy Cox, Kim is the trendsetter. Fashion follows her. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Don't know about that one either, but.
Don't be modest. This is your business.
So.
Well, go ahead.
Your TikTok, just so everybody knows that your TikTok is just Olive Luna. I don't have TikTok, so I don't know how it works, but can you just go to TikTok and search Olive Luna and you will pop up?
Yeah, so on my social media handle, everything is Shop Olive Luna.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. Awesome. And then Steven also said he put Kiki LaRue, I guess the website on there, and then said he'll talk to his wife and try to get some more info. But so you can see it. Here you go. Busy
Perfect. Thank
Becca.
you.
So Busy Becca on Instagram. Long story short, had a fallout with their partner. So website is owned by them. I'll talk to my wife and get you some more info. Steven, the real hero. We appreciate
Yes,
you.
thank you,
Yeah.
Stephen. I appreciate that.
So my thing, if you are 100% a noob, right? So kind of like what Adam asked, and you want to get into this, whether it be social media, whether it be making a shop or learning how to sew, whatever it is, what do you think is the first step? What should anybody do to get into this?
Get into like what?
Like
Entrepreneurship or
entrepreneurship.
anything?
Yeah, just anything.
I think the first step is like just having like that focus, like know kind of not the whole end game, but know what you want out of it. Like, what do you want in life? Like, what's your focus? So I think that's the first step of like wanting that. Like my end game is I don't want to work till I'm 50 something. My dad retired at 40. That's my end game. So how am I going to do that? He told me that if you want to make money to do that, get into business. So like I had an end game, and then he kind of coached me through how to get there. And then from there, I'm like, okay, well, what type of business, So like if you kind of have like a focus of where you want to go, everything else before the end game will kind of help you. Does that make sense?
It's cliche.
Is that too confusing?
Know your why, right? Like,
Know your why, yes.
No.
Know your why.
Yeah, for sure. And I would like to retire by 50. Chances are I'm not gonna have to work at 50 because I'm probably be like croaked, chopped, dead.
Oh my gosh.
Going about it differently. Mine's my health. You're gonna be, rich and retired. It's fine. It's basically the same thing.
And obviously, like it might not happen by that timeline that you gave yourself, but at least like it kind of give you the incentive to take that chance. And that's the whole point of it too. And then another thing too is I didn't want to work for somebody else. I want to be my own boss. And that was also my why as well. And then from there,
good enough for you, Kim?
No, you were great. But
you don't gotta lie, Kim. I know he's here, but don't lie. It's fine.
Well, we all worked in a really, I feel like the environment that we worked in is such like a cutthroat, you got to grind kind of thing. And I think another thing that kind of made me wanting to start my own and go out on my own was I realized that, wow, I'm like busting my butt, to work so hard for this company. And there are days where I would work, I was like 8 months pregnant. I'd stay online looking for people. This is when we were working from till 8 at night. And I'm like, if I grind this hard for myself, like how rewarding would that be? And by this point, I think I was like making $19,000 for this company that I'm like a week, and I'm like, gosh, if I worked that hard for myself and keep the whole profit. So that was it too. So it's not you, Joe. It was a lot bigger than you. The reason why.
It was you, Joe. She's being nice.
But
all right, I know we're kind of over time, but I do have like one question that's more specific to kind of your like. So, what advice do you have for someone who is interested in starting their own fashion business?
Fashion boutique. I think my advice would be just go for it, because you only live once and you can start it out so small. Doing this is great. I didn't really know what to expect, and I thought that I would have to have all these like inventories. But literally, you can start out with one item. And I kind of tested the market in the sense that so I kind of skipped this and I didn't tell you guys, but I'll make it quick because I know we're running short. Between the hair bow and the Alaluna boutique now, I did a line of positive tees. And that was all based on my Bell's Palsy smile. And I had minimal items, just like t-shirts of one design of my face that I did, or like a sweatshirt. And I knew social media, like it was going to be able to sell because of the story behind it. So I just went for it, So that's my thing. Just find something in fashion that you're passionate about, because fashion is huge and you can do anything. You want to sell jewelry, shoes, like you don't have, it doesn't have to be just clothes, but there has to be something in fashion that you're passionate about. Like learn about that and sell that product first, test the water, and then from there you can expand. Because that's exactly what I did. It started with those sweatshirts and t-shirts, and then from there I expand into like carrying more products now, and then I just add jewelry to my shop. Another thing too, it's not expensive. I started this whole thing with the budget of $500, and I know that might seem a lot, but like you can start with like 300, you know. Because wholesale is.
I mean, from starting a business, that's not that much.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk through that, right? We have a few minutes, unless you need to run.
No, I'm good.
So overhead, right? So sewing machine, and then for like something like this, sewing machine, time on Instagram, understanding all that, which is a nightmare. And if any of y'all watching are experts as well, I'd love to hear what you got to share. And then materials, right? Where do you get your materials from? So you don't have to give a specific provider.
No, I can't give you specific because I don't do that anymore, right? But because I started with the hair bows, I think I invested with the hair bows. I probably invested maybe 200 in it. And I remember within my first drop, that very first day, I made $1,200 just in hair bows. Like that very first drop. So from $200, I mean, that, the difference was, but yeah, what was the question? I kind of lost it. in that.
Your materials. Where do you find a supplier?
Yes, so it was easy for me, Joanne. I just went and looked for prints that I thought I would like. And then during that time, it was springtime. So any spring prints, I stuck with floral. And then from there, that's where I got it. And then once it got going, I outsourced it through like Etsy. When I was, trying to find different type of fabric, Etsy was like a great place to go. And then I even went to Atlanta to the fabric store, wholesale store. But I never purchased from there because they expect you to get like a certain minimum amount. And I know like for a hair bow this size, I do not need 15 yards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we talked about this. I wanted that exclusivity. So as soon as those were sold out, they were gone forever. I never wanted to bring that fabric back again. So I didn't need like a 15 yard of fabric. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, Joe, you got any other questions or anything?
No, that's it. I will say I do own some of the bows. We have daughter. Waiting for those tees and the beanies to come back in stock. So you definitely have a future customer over here.
I wanted to say one thing, back to Joe's question. Don't feel like you are married to whatever you started out with. And I hope that that's what you saw from my journey with that. It's like I started with the bow. I realized it wasn't working with my schedule and whatnot. So like I transitioned into something that would fit my schedule better, allow me more time with family and so like even if you start out with something, don't feel like if it didn't work out, like that's the end. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
Well, y'all, everybody that asked questions and listened in, we appreciate you. Kim, huge thanks to you for taking the time to hang out with us and talk with everybody.
So fun.
You're awesome. If you're listening, go check her out on Instagram, TikTok, and all that stuff. Shop a la Luna should be there. You can see all of her stuff. If you're not a girl, go on there, like, share, and shout out to her that you saw her on our podcast and stuff like that. It would be cool. But thank you all so much. We appreciate you, and y'all have a great Thursday.
Thank you. I want to say one more thing.
One thing.
Everything is intentional. So Alla Luna means to the moon. I want to take this to the moon. P.S.
I love that. I love that.
It means to the moon in Italian.
I love that. That's great. Yeah.
But thank you for having me, guys.
Of course. Yeah.